Hey, what's up everyone? This is Music Tech Help Guy, and in this video, we're going to do a comparison between the new stem splitter that was just released in Logic Pro 11 and the LALAL.AI online stem splitter platform that apparently uses AI to intelligently, separate your stems. One of the things that has come up time and time again with the Logic 11 update is that some of the features are not available if you don't have an M1 Mac or iPad. So if you don't have Apple Silicon, you can't use the stem splitter, you can't use Chroma Glow. So it's just one of the limitations of this new release. And so, make whatever decision you want, whether to upgrade to 11 or not. But for folks who are still using Intel computers, how can you achieve high quality stem splitting? And in this video, I want to give LALAL.AI a fair chance against stem splitter, and see what happens. I've done a little bit of testing before this video, but I have not drawn any conclusions whatsoever. So I'm going to give them both a fair chance. And also, just for full transparency's sake, LALAL.AI did reach out to me and ask if I was interested in doing a video with their platform, and they did provide me a free license. However, this video is not sponsored. I'm not being paid in any way. All the opinions in this video are my own and just going off of what you guys are hearing along with me right now in the moment. I have not drawn any conclusions. Now, for musical examples, I have 3 of them, and they're all very different. Some of them, one of them in particular, is a really old recording from 2005 that I did when I had no clue what I was doing. This is called Domination by my old band, Right Stripped. I could say my old band, but I guess we never disbanded. We actually put out an album a few years ago, but this was from the early days. This was from our first album that we released that was CD print only. I think 1,000 copies were ever made, and that's it. Pretty much all of the recordings on this album are complete garbage. This is, again, almost 20 years ago. I was a 19-year-old kid. I had never mixed or recorded anything, really. So anyway, it's not good. Let's just say that. Another one is Pieces by Restless Lioness. This is a newer track from 2021 that I recorded. We recorded everything professionally in a studio. Everything was professionally mixed and mastered by me. And the Restless Lioness piece is sort of like a pop R&B type track. And then we have Bargaining and Denial by Ash Alexandra, brand new song that just came out this year. It's a rock track, and it was sort of produced and recorded in a home studio environment, but then I mixed and mastered it on my end. So I've got basically 2 very good recordings and 1 complete garbage recording. And let's start with that one. So let me play you a little bit of it. I'm not going to play the whole song. I just really want to jump into the vocals as quickly as possible. Just a little side story. This album I've been wanting to remaster. It's been on my bucket list for years. I have the original stems for the drums, bass, and guitars, but I don't have the stems for the vocals for whatever reason. So every year I come back to these AI stem splitters and I try and see if I can rip the vocals from these songs in a way that's high quality enough for me to do a remaster. I think we're almost there, but I'm not sure if we're quite there. So let's start with stem splitter. Right click, control click, go down to processing. Select stem splitter, and then you can choose how you want to split this up: vocals, drums, bass, other. One of the advantages of LALAL.AI is it has a lot more options for different types of stems, so it's a bit more flexible. However, with stem splitter, the advantage here is everything's done right on your computer. You don't have to send the file out to another server and then it sends it back to you. So that's one of the advantages of stem splitter. So let's go ahead and split that out. And then let's see how well it has maintained these parts. Let's start with the drums. I mean, for a complete garbage recording, it actually isn't too bad. The cymbals are a little muffled, a little muddy. That's usually, it's where these sorts of things don't work well, is the top end. you know, we're kind of losing some of the definition in the bass there. And this is what happens when you use a metal zone pedal in your pedal board in 2005. So don't do that either. But what I'm really concerned about here is the vocals. Let's see what the vocals sound like. I stand before your parliament to preach my better mind. I've lived out my darkened life in this pain. I'm trying so hard to ease the struggle. Yeah, there's a lot of crackling and noise in there. One of the things I do like about Logic's stem splitter is how much top-end information is still saved in the stem split, but at the same time, it picks up some of like the top-end transients from the drums and hi-hat and things like that, and you can definitely hear that in the recording. Is it something you could probably hide in a remix or in a remaster? Most likely. Let's try out LALAL.AI with this one. So for this, you have to go to LALAL.AI, sign up for an account, or you can try it out for free, and let's choose what I guess what split do we want, what instrumentation do we want. So with LALAL, they don't have a vocals, drum, bass, and other. You have to choose vocal and instrumental, drums, and bass, and do them all separately. I don't mind the extra weight if it's going to be better than what Logic can put out, but let's start with the vocal and instrumental. Here's the original WAV file. Let's drop that in, and again, with these other sort of online stem splitting services, it has to send your audio over to a server somewhere. The server does the processing and then sends it back to you. But it does give you a preview. So if you don't like the way it sounds, you don't waste any of your time on the preview. So that's pretty nice. And again, no Apple Silicon required for this. This can all be done with an Intel. Okay, so we've got our vocal and our instrumental. I stand before your parliament to preach my better mind. I've lived out my darkened life in this pain. Cool, let's process that. And once that's done processing, I'm going to download it and drop it into Logic. Okay, so here's the vocal. Let's go ahead and download that. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do another one just for the drums. Okay, here's the drums. It's not bad. Let's go ahead and process that. The drums, let's download those, and then we'll go back and let's do one more. And this time, let's do the bass. All right, there's our bass. Yeah, it's almost like the bass is underwater on that one, but let's go ahead and download that as well. And just keep in mind, while we're doing this one, remember, this is a bad recording from 20 years ago, done by me as a 19-year-old kid who had no clue what he was doing. So some of the other examples will probably turn out much better than this one does. And then lastly, just because we have the other option in Stem Splitter, that's basically pulling out the guitars, let's go ahead and choose the electric guitar option, and let's do one final stem for the electric guitar as well. Okay, so here in my LALAL splits, I've got the bass, drums, guitar, and vocals. Let's drag these into Logic, and let's put these up against the stem splitter tracks. So I'll just put the ones that are stem splitter in like, I don't know, a green color, and I'll make these other ones like a pink color. Okay, so what I'm going to do is press play, and I'm going to jump back and forth between the two vocal tracks. And what you do is you hold Option, and this will do like an XOR, either or solo mode, where it just switches from one track to another, so you can quickly A/B different tracks. I stand before your parliament to preach my better mind. I've lived out my darkened life in this pain. I'm trying so hard to ease the struggle from within, but you just keep passing me your parasitic lies. I refuse to give up everything I've ever worked for, just take your hold a little deeper. So in my opinion, the LALAL one is obviously like cleaner. It's a cleaner rip. It doesn't have all that extra noise and stuff in the background. The downside is it's a little like underwater sounding, like it really needs some top end. And that's kind of what I'm missing because there's like consonant sounds and sibilants in there that is just not being picked up. It sounds really washed out, whereas the stem splitter is like being really liberal with what it's including as vocal material. It has a better like top end consonant response, I guess, but it also would need some like serious like decrackling and declicking done to it to sort of make it acceptable. Let's jump down to the drums here. Yeah, once again, I think it's a similar issue. Like, there's more information that's being included as drum material. Like, I'm getting a little bit of the reverb from the room it was recorded in. Whereas in the LALAL split, it's a cleaner rip for sure, but it almost sounds like the cymbals are like lacking even more. Like, there's definitely a lot of extra noise in the stem splitter version. Like the China cymbal there is pretty well heard. Yeah, and there it's actually okay too. It's almost like the yeah, it's like almost like the Logic's stem splitter is grabbing like a little bit like a better, I don't know, it's hard to explain, like the tone of the drum. I mean, I could go either way on this one. Like, it depends on what I'm gonna do with a drum stem. If I'm gonna just remaster it, and I just need to like bring out the drums or shape, tone shape the drums a little bit, I feel like I'd probably rather use the stem splitter one here. But one thing I'm noticing is like when I play these together, they actually together sound better. It's like we're taking the best of both worlds and we're taking the extra content from stem splitter and mixing it with the like the clarity of LALAL. Let's try the bass. Yeah, I think hands down, Logic wins this one, at least in this particular situation. We'll see if the bass rip holds up in some of these other tracks. But, the bass does have a lot of like noise in it. There's like a lot of static, but because of that, you can hear when he's plucking the string. With the LALAL rip, it's just all sub, it's all bass. Yeah, I'm not really hearing much of the pick. And again, bad recording. So honestly, this, most of this is my fault to begin with. And then let's listen to the guitar split. Why didn't it do anything in the beginning here? That's weird. Yeah, LALAL missed a whole section here. I don't know where it put that. It probably put it in the bass. No? Did it put it in the drums? That's really strange. It like missed the whole intro there, but honestly, I think Logic wins here as well. If I were going to rip this song and do a remix of it, I might consider using the LALAL rip for the vocals and then maybe blending it with the stem splitter a bit and just use the stem splitter just for the top end and maybe declick and denoise it. And then for the drums, like I said, maybe combine the two, use the bass and guitar from the original recording, although I would never re-release this guitar part. I would just re-record it. Yeah, you know what? I can't really make any definitive decisions quite yet. Let's try out another track that was professionally recorded and is actually like, a decent mix and a decent recording. So let's jump up to the next one. Okay, so this is Pieces from Restless Lioness. This was released in 2021. I did pretty much all of the production on this, all of the recording, and I also mixed and mastered the song. So let me play you a little bit of the original, and then we'll extract the stems.
You started the fire that burns in my heart. It burns to the ground. Another can't be found, can't be found. You started the fire that burns in my heart. It burns to the ground, and people gather round to see why are we in pieces, in pieces, in pieces. Why are we in pieces?
So there's a lot of like harmonies and a lot of backing vocals, especially toward the end. There's these like big, huge group backing vocals.
Why are we in pieces, in pieces, in pieces? Why are we in?
So let's see how well it handles all of that. Let's go ahead and use stem splitter first. Let's pull those out. And then off screen, I'll do all of the stem splits with LALAL.AI, and I'll be right back. And you know, one thing I just realized is that when you process the entire file, you don't have to go back twice. You can just go back here and say, okay, now I want the drums, create a new preview. So I was doing one extra step that I didn't have to do in those other examples. It has a lot of instruments, and like we hired like a session bass player, a session drummer to play on the track. I think I want to split out the synthesizer parts separately, and then I also want to split out the string parts separately. So this is something you don't get in stem splitter. Like you can't, you know, all of your synthesizers and keyboards are all going to go down to that other track. So here we can actually separate our keyboards and synths from the strings. So I'm going to try to do that here, and we'll see how well it turns out. Okay, so I've got all of my LALAL tracks and then all of my stem splitter tracks. All of the stem splitter tracks are in green. The LALAL.AI tracks are in pink. So let's give these a shot. Let's start off with the vocal rip. I think we're going to end up with a much better quality vocal rip. Actually, probably a much better rip on everything here, just because of the, you know, the recording quality.
You started the fire that burns in my heart. It burns to the ground. Another can't be found, can't be found. You started the fire that burns in my heart.
I mean, that's pretty damn good. I mean, it's getting all the harmonies. It's even getting some of the reverb in there. Let's try out LALAL.
You started the fire that burns in my heart. It burns to the ground. Another can't be found, can't be found. You started the fire that burns in my heart.
I would argue that the LALAL rip here is better. It doesn't include like the reverb tails and stuff. It's definitely just like if you just want a clean rip so you can remix something like that, that would probably be my preferred track here. That would be my preferred option here. So I think LALAL beats out stem splitter here. Let's move over to, but like this is also the intro of the song. There's not much going on, so the stem split's going to be pretty good either way. Let's go over to like the final chorus where things get a little busy. Let's see that. Let's see what that sounds like. So here's the vocals, the stem splitter vocals there.
Paradise, why are we in pieces, in pieces, in pieces? Why are we in?
It's still good, but there's definitely some extraneous information in there and some noise in there, like I was saying before. And then here's LALAL.
As we take paradise, why are we in pieces, in pieces, in pieces? Why are we in pieces?
Yeah, I mean, I think hands down LALAL wins this one. So yeah, if you got a great sounding recording, and it was mixed well, you're gonna have a better luck with LALAL than stem splitter to get clean vocal rips. Let's try out the drums here. Here's the stem splitter drums. Really, the LALAL rip is better here. It's cleaner. There's, like I said, there's some more extraneous information in the stem splitter rip, but really, I think the drummer here, or the drums here, is a little better. Let's get to the end here, because there's a spot where like the drums really go crazy toward the end. Let's see how well that is preserved. Yeah, there's a tambourine in there that I think is dirtying this up a bit, and it's kind of like I said before. I kind of prefer the drum tone on the stem splitter, but in terms of just like the quality of the rip, I think LALAL wins here too. I don't know that you could actually use those drums for anything, though. You'd have to heavily process them and layer them with samples to really do anything. And the same goes for the, the stem splitter track there. Let's check out the bass. We did have a session bass player, so let's see what this sounds like. Let's get to where it's a little more complicated here. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer using the stem splitter here, because just like it did in the other track, it tends to preserve a little bit more of the top end, so you can actually hear the finger plucks. Whereas, if you just want a clean bass tone in the song and you're not worried about the percussiveness of the bass coming through, I think LALAL would work fine. But kind of like the last bass example, it doesn't do so great with bass because it's like it filters everything above a certain range, which might work for synthesizers and 808s and things like that, but it doesn't work for like real bass guitar that's got some drive and grit to it. Here's where stem splitter kind of falls short. It's just other. So this is probably going to be like all of the synthesizers and maybe the strings too. So let's give this a shot. Yeah, it sounds like an orchestra underwater. Let's see what just the strings sound like. Let's try the synths and strings together. Interesting. So one of the things that Stem Splitter has done better here, I think. There's it's a string arrangement. It's like an orchestral string arrangement. So violin, viola, cello, and bass, and some other, little percussion elements. And there's some synthesizers and some pianos in there too. Neither of them sound good here to me. If I had to use one, I would probably use the Stem Splitter here too, because it's doing a better job of distinguishing between the bass bowed strings and the bass guitar. And I mean, maybe some of that information is just going into the bass track. Now it's just bass guitar. Maybe a little bit in there, yeah. Yeah, neither of them are really great, but if I had to pick one, I kind of like the combined stem here. It just sounds better to my ears. So let's try out one more example. This is Bargaining and Denial by Ashlexandra. Brand new song. She just put out a music video for it a couple weeks ago, I think. So, get on her YouTube and subscribe and, support the cause.
You kept telling me to go, and so I left. I didn't really know what to expect. I was so that you'd wake up and tell me that you loved me. I may have got myself back, but my heart's feeling funny. And I'm sure you're telling all the boys about how I was a chore and not your choice. But I still remember how you came to me this day.
So again, like I said before, this is sort of in between the two tracks. Like, this was recorded in sort of a home studio environment, but I professionally mixed and mastered it. So sort of a blend of the two. And not saying that you can't make good home recordings. I think her recordings here are just fine. It's just, you know, you'll always get a better result when you have a recording engineer supervising. So let's go ahead and use the stem splitter on this.
You kept telling me to go, and so I left. I didn't really know what to expect. I was hoping that you'd wake up and
Drums did a good job. Fairly good job on the guitars as well. So let's do the same song with LALAL, and I'll just cut out all the downloading stuff this time, and I'll be right back. All right, so once again, I've got Logic Stem Splitter shown in green. I've got LALAL shown in pink. What I've done here is I've done vocals, bass, drums, and electric guitar, because that's all that is in the song. I don't think there's any other elements of this particular song. So let's start by comparing the vocals.
you kept telling me to go, and so I left. I didn't really know what to expect. I was hoping that you'd wake up and tell me that you loved me. I may have got myself back, but my heart's feeling funny. And I'm sure you're telling all the boys about how I was a chore and not your choice. But I still remember how you came to me. This didn't happen.
Yeah, we're definitely, again, it's the same as the other two songs. The vocals have more extraneous noise in them. Some of it is like consonant noise and unvoiced sounds, as opposed to voiced sounds, which are like your vowel sounds, things produced by your vocal cords. But it also has like some of the drums in there, like some of the top end like distortions from the drums, probably hitting the top of the limiter, I'm assuming.
Funny, and I'm sure you're telling all the boys about how I was a chore and not your choice. But I still remember how you came.
Yeah, if you needed a clean rip, you'll probably want to use LALAL on this one too. The thing is, like, it dips out in a couple spots, and again, it's got that kind of washed out sound that the other ones do too. But you know, if you're really trying to like do a remix of a song and it's got all that extra noise in the background, it's probably not going to work too well. I mean, it could work well if you add like RxD noise, D crackle, and all these other tools to, you know, sort of clean up the vocal. It probably totally be usable, but at least in this context, it seems like with rock music, it's picking up some extraneous noise from the guitars and drums, whereas with the R&B pop track, it wasn't quite as much of a problem. In fact, the vocals were way better on that one. I guess I'm not really 100% sold on one or the other here. They both are good in their good and bad in their own ways. Let's check out the drums. Drums are definitely winning on stem splitter here for me. And then the bass. Yeah, it's the same issue we had before. LALAL doesn't really do a great job of bringing out the mid and top end of the bass. I'm pretty sure there's like a filter built into it that's just, you know, low passing everything. So if you were to like rip that bass and use it as is, I'd much rather use the stem splitter version of it. But let's go to the guitars here. And you can definitely tell there's some vocals in there and there's some drums in there too. Yeah, definitely a cleaner rip on the guitar for LALAL on this one. The chorus, though, I'm hearing some like spots where the guitar's dipping out, and I don't think it does that in the stem splitter version. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty good rip. I would probably, if I had to pick one, I'd probably choose LALAL.AI on the guitar rip here. So what have we learned? There are ups and downs to probably every single stem splitter platform out there, regardless of whether it's something that's in the box or something that has to be sent away to another server to be processed. I can't definitively say that one is better than the other. It seems like with good recordings, that were mixed well and don't have a lot of saturation and don't have an absurd amount of time-based effects in them, that the vocal rips from LALAL are better. The bass rips for stem splitter are hands down better to me. Like, I'd rather have a little bit of crispiness in my bass and have the full content of the bass, including the plucks or the pick or whatever it is, be intact. So I wouldn't recommend LALAL for like bass guitar rips. And then for like guitar, it seems to do a pretty good job, but then on one of the other tracks, the first track, it didn't do that great of a job. And with the drums, I could really go either way. It seems like you get a much cleaner drum rip through LALAL than you do with stem splitter, but sometimes LALAL leaves out some information that you might want there. So I guess really you have to look at this as what is your application for this? Are you going to be remastering a song and you just want to be able to do some little level balances or remixing? Stem splitter might be totally fine for that, because the stems have all of that extraneous noise in it that you want in the final recording. Like, you don't want to take that information out of the recording. You want that to be there. But if you're trying to rip a vocal for like a remix, you may find that with certain examples, you get a better result with LALAL. Try it out for yourself. I'll leave links to LALAL.AI in the video description below if you want to check it out. Again, remember, this video is not sponsored. I have no stake in this whatsoever. LALAL's not paying me or anything. I'm just going to put the link there if you want to check it out, because I think they do have a free trial. So, if you've got a particular song you want to work on, try it out in Logic. Try it out on LALAL, drop them in just like I did here, and decide, which one do you want to use for your particular application. I know for me, I still want to remaster this old album that I did 20 years ago with my band, but I don't know that it can be done. I mean, we're getting closer and closer every year to these AI tools, like legitimately being able to salvage old bad recordings, and I have no problem like re-recording all of my guitar parts, but I don't want the whole band to have to come back and re-record bass and drums and vocals. And like, I'll redo the guitar parts, but I want the original 2005, performance to still be kind of maintained. I'm just sort of updating the guitar parts since I didn't know what I was doing 20 years ago. So, neither of the technologies are really there for me yet, at least for what I'm trying to do with it. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for the support, and thanks for watching.